Bogle Highway opens a new chapter for St. Thomas. A major section of Jamaica's southern coastal highway has officially been commissioned and named the Right Excellent Bogle Highway. Stretching from Bull Bay to Morant Bay, the improved corridor is intended to deliver safer and faster travel while opening St. Thomas to increased investment, housing, tourism, and commercial development. But the July 30th ceremony has also attracted scrutiny. Questions remain about reported defects, unfinished supporting works, and whether the highway was fully ready to be commissioned. Here is a story of how the Bogle Highway was constructed, what it could mean for eastern Jamaica, and why the government celebration has not silenced every concern. From an overlooked road to a strategic corridor. For decades, traveling between Kingston and St Thomas meant navigating a narrow and often congested coastal road. Communities along the road faced deteriorating surfaces, flooding, limited pedestrian facilities, and frequent disruption from utility repairs. The poor condition of the corridor also discouraged investment in a parish frequently described as one of Jamaica's most overlooked. The government responded through the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project, a much wider program designed to upgrade Jamaica's southern and eastern road network. The project covers several corridors, including the Maypen to Williamsfield Highway and road improvements from Harbourview through St. Thomas towards Portland. The newly named Bogle Highway forms part of this broader development program. Its purpose was not merely to resurface an old road. The project involved widening sections, improving road alignment, reconstructing bridges and drainage systems, relocating utilities, and installing new safety infrastructure. The St. Thomas works were undertaken in several sections, with China Harbour Engineering Company serving as the principal contractor on the major highway package. Construction proved difficult and disruptive. Residents and motorists endured years of dust, traffic diversions, damaged community roads, water supply interruptions, and lengthy delays. Businesses along the corridor also reported losing customers because access to their premises became difficult during construction. The project encountered challenges involving land acquisition, the relocation of water mains, telecommunication infrastructure, and electricity lines. Work also had to be carried out while thousands of vehicles continued using the corridor every day. In 2023, Prime Minister Andrew Holness directed that additional resources be deployed after further delays and recurring water main problems affected the Harbourview to Yallas section. Despite those difficulties, the first major section from Harbourview towards Yallas Bridge was officially opened to traffic in February 2024. That 17.4-kilometer section reportedly reduced the journey between Kingston and parts of St. Thomas from approximately 45 minutes to about 15 minutes under favorable traffic conditions. The work also included around 28 kilometers of water lines, 350 meters of sewer lines, and fiber optic infrastructure serving hundreds of properties. Construction and rehabilitation continued further east through communities including Yallas, White Horses, and Morant Bay. Why it carries Paul Bogle's name. In March 2024, the Prime Minister announced that the completed road leading to Morant Bay would be named the Right Excellent Bogle Highway. The designation was later expanded publicly to describe the corridor running from Bull Bay Bridge to Morant Bay. Bogle, one of Jamaica's 7 national heroes, led the 1865 Morant Bay uprising against injustice, poverty, and inequality. He was executed following the rebellion, but his actions became an enduring symbol of resistance and the demand for social justice. Naming the highway after him therefore carries special significance in St. Thomas, the parish where he lived, organized and led the historic march to the Morant Bay Courthouse. At the official ceremony on July 30th, 2026, the government presented the name as more than a symbolic gesture. It described the highway as part of a wider effort to honor Bogle's legacy by creating greater economic and social opportunities for the people of the parish. The naming and commissioning ceremony took place at the Morant Bay roundabout. The event formally established the corridor as the Right Excellent Paul Bogle Highway and marked a major milestone in the decade-long campaign for better infrastructure in eastern Jamaica. For motorists, the most immediate benefits include wider sections of roadway, improved intersections, additional traffic signals, better road markings, and shorter travel times. The new corridor should also provide more reliable access for emergency vehicles, public transportation, farmers, and businesses moving goods between St. Thomas and Kingston. However, motorists have been urged to use the improved road carefully. Higher quality services can encourage excessive speed, while some communities must now adjust to faster moving traffic, new traffic signals, and altered access points. The economic promise. The government expects the highway to become a catalyst for the wider transformation of St. Thomas. Better transportation could make the parish more attractive for housing developments, commercial centers, agriculture, tourism, and light industry. It could also allow residents to reach jobs and services in Kingston more efficiently without having to relocate. The highway is expected to complement the Morant Bay Urban Centre, which has been promoted as a new administrative and commercial hub for the parish. Improved connectivity could also benefit attractions and communities farther east. St. Thomas possesses beaches, rivers, waterfalls, agricultural land, and significant heritage sites, but poor road access has historically limited their development. If supported infrastructure and proper planning follow, the corridor could help reposition the parish as a major gateway between Kingston and eastern Jamaica. The benefits, however, will depend on whether development includes existing residents and small businesses. A modern highway can raise property values and attract investors, but it can also place pressure on vulnerable communities if expansion is not carefully managed. Concerns over defects and unfinished work. The commissioning was not without controversy. Before the ceremony, opposition spokesman on Works, Lowton Cousins, called for it to be postponed, arguing that reported structural defects and incomplete areas made the celebration premature. Works Minister Robert Morgan rejected the suggestion that the ceremony should be abandoned. He said construction-related defects would be addressed by the contractor and that the project was protected by a 24-month contractor's warranty. The dispute highlights the difference between formally commissioning a corridor and completing every outstanding corrective or supporting task. Residents will therefore be watching for repairs to any defective sections, the completion of drainage and pedestrian facilities, proper maintenance of traffic signals, and the restoration of community roads affected during the construction. The highway's long-term success will ultimately be judged not by the ceremony, but by its safety, durability, and ability to withstand Jamaica's heavy rainfall and coastal conditions. The Paul Bogle Highway is only one component of the planned transformation of the Eastern Corridor. Further improvements have been proposed or undertaken along the route towards Port Antonio, as well as between Morant Bay and Cedar Valley. Plans have also been discussed for a Port Antonio bypass. Completing these connections could eventually create a more efficient transportation corridor stretching from Kingston through St. Thomas and into Portland. But several priorities remain clear. Outstanding defects must be corrected, drainage must be maintained, pedestrian crossings must be protected, and development along the highway must be properly controlled. Authorities will also need to prevent unplanned entrances, roadside encroachment, and ribbon development from creating the congestion the project was intended to solve. The opening of the Right Excellent Paul Bogle Highway represents a defining moment for St. Thomas. It reflects years of construction, disruption, and public frustration, but also the possibility of safer travel, shorter journeys, and a new era of economic opportunity. Its name connects Jamaica's modern development ambitions with the legacy of a national hero who marched for justice and dignity more than 160 years ago. The road has now been commissioned. The greater test is whether the development it brings will improve the lives of the people of St. Thomas, whether its construction shortcomings will be properly addressed, and whether Paul Bogle's name will remain attached to a highway built to last. This is Jamaica News Now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for future content. Subscribe today, turn on notifications, and never miss the stories that matter most. Jamaica News Now, your Highlands, your news, right now.